Dolores Day, the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state turns around to face you. She has an airship airbag in her hand. She seems to be in a hurry. Off to advise the Queen of Shest, most likely. This is the Holy Suzerain of Mwindi and Insulinda. Definitely not your wife. You need to talk to her. Think of the historical knowledge you could glean. I don't know, man. What is the Holy Suzerain doing here? Something seems off.
I'm sorry. I was heading to the aerodrome. I just don't have time to... Hey. I mean, hey to you too. I'm doing really good, actually. Both professionally and romantically. I've come to a fulfilling and peaceful period in my life. Well, how are you doing, Harry? Well, I'm in my head too. We're all in our heads. Sometimes, not as often as I used to. So much time has passed. More than it seems here. I'm going to Morova, to live there in Grad. It's 1 million kilometers away, Harry. Might as well be another lifetime. Just my scepter, my globe cruciger, a spare silk gown, a toothbrush, travel documents, the crown of immortality. Oh, this. This is just a wreath. The crown of immortality is made of rarefied light, mana and raw palladium. It was passed on to me by the rulers of late antiquity.
She looks at the suitcase, not knowing what more to say. Then, over her shoulder. Silence. Her nuptial gown flows in the wind, wraps around her holy body.
Anyway. No, Harry. It's just regular skin. I'm not as beautiful as you always thought I was. Let's not get into it. It's okay. No, Harry. No. I don't want a massive, epic showdown. I want to go to the aerodrome. I have tickets for the 10:20 flight to Morova. Really. We don't have anything to talk about anymore. Every combination of words has been played out. The atoms don't form us anymore. Us. Our love. Our unborn daughters. It's all gone. I have to go to the aerodrome. I have to leave Revachol and you. And you have to be alone. In hell. Forever.
Oh God, whatever you do, don't try to kiss her yet. Not after that. You're still reeling. You'll fall over if you try now.
I don't want it. It looks expensive. I don't want it. Please don't give me any gifts. I don't know what you mean. Dolores Day. Oh, Harry, you shouldn't have done that. Call me like that. There is nothing else. The morning, I don't understand. Oh my God, Harry, stop. I don't want to hear anything about the morning. Mourning someone who's still alive. Any of that. I can't do that anymore. I'm not 80 years old, I'm 32. People my age are not supposed to mourn. Wasn't I Dolores Day just a second ago? Now I'm the X thing? You're confusing me. Look, I have to be at the Lausanne Aerodrome at 10:20 p.m. I still have a light rail to catch. I haven't even bought the tickets yet. I'm glad too, but I have to go. My friends are waiting for me on the platform. I can't let them wait. It's impolite. I will.
1,000 times you beat an animal. 1,000 times you've raised that fabric. What is underneath has always calmed you, centered you, made you sane. In your mind, you could still climb inside her bed. Still the only man.
Yes, Harry. I am. Things have gotten much better for me, now that I am the ruler of the known world. Oh God.
A tiny golden watch with red straps around her bony little wrists.
It's not, but... I don't know why I said but. There is no but. That's it, yes. We've talked about it a million times. You will get over it, just like I did. People do. Things will get good for you again.
Where in hell? Stop. You're only making it worse for him. You never help with anything.
See? It just takes some time. For you, I think it'll take something like 20 years, maybe. It was hard for me too. I used to think I couldn't live without you. But I can. Yes. It only took me 1 year, maybe 2. Phew. Yes. But that time is gone now. So very gone. No, Harry. We can't. We already tried again, and it didn't work.
Is that how it is now? We should just try all good things twice, and then give up. By that logic, not you too.
I don't know. Please. Harry, we can't be together because you're insane.
They're turning moist now. Her eyes. She slowly shakes her head and tries to get hold of herself, brushing her hands in her gown.
We both said a lot of things. We were very young.
It was her. I can feel it. I can see it in her tender, long fingers, in her wrists. Her hand wrote it, said those things.
As Queen Regnant, I write a lot of letters.
You need to recite it to her, for effect. All of it. No summaries. Yeah, put a stake through your heart. She'll get hurt too. Collateral damage. She won't get hurt. She'll bend out of the way.
Please, Harry. I just don't have time for this. Okay, Harry. Okay. It was morning and you slept. The room smelled of cigarettes and Rowans. There was hoarfrost on the ground when I left. It was autumn, the first one we had together. But you have to understand, it was 1,000,000 years ago. No, it was 100,000,000 years ago. I was someone else then, filled to the brim with love for you, hanging on your every word. Oh, Harry, you were the coolest. But I am no longer that person. This has taken her place. It will devour you. Harry, I will eat your mind.
The light of the video rental shines through her dress now. A DeLorean figure, cut in black, moves below. It's still her. Her legs, her breasts, her hips.
42. That is the light rail that took me to Quran, to school and work. Every morning. It's the same stop I met you at, Harry. 100,000 million years ago. No human being should still remember the position of atoms such eons ago. It must feel unnaturally sad. A sadness so ancient, it is shared even by archaebacteria. The coolest, with your leather jacket and your boot-cut pants, smoking in the bus stop. I wanted you to be the rest of my life that day. And you were. Some of it, at least. You were my first kiss, my first time to have sex. The first and worst time I fell in love. I will always have that with me. It's a fact. But that is all it is. It's like a ticket stub, Harry. It doesn't do anything anymore. Yes, let's talk about that too. Let's bring it up, the zoo. In Le Jardin, the day we went east of the river, to the aquarium first, I was sad about my mother. I don't even know why. The shimmer of the fish tank on my face, the octopuses. It was just a day then, but to think, were we there now, you could touch my hair, kiss me, talk to me about anything, go virtually anywhere in the world. Not like now. Now our interactions are limited to pain and regret. And my crown of immortality? No. You scared her out of me. With your crying, the awful time we wound up having. And the cheap rentals, can't you see? I can never think you're cool again. I can only think that way.
The cheap rental with mold on the walls and the tap dripping.
Yes, I have found someone for whom I can feel the same. A copy of my love for you, only this time he is careful and rich. He will not lose me. It will go somewhere, it will grow.
Your heart burns. Through the blackness you feel the treacle of blood on the mattress below you.
Harry, do you notice how none of this is very funny? I hate being that. I don't want to be anything for you. I hope the decades it takes for you to get over me have already passed. Is there really anything left? If not, we can always repeat one of the things we have already talked about. Talk about it again. If you do not feel like doing that, you should let me go to the aerodrome. Who says that? I have ruled with kindness, grace, and temperance. It's perfectly normal to have an army of humanity. I am the innocence of humanism. I call it whatever I want to. Besides, you're only saying this because things didn't work out between us. I really have to go to the aerodrome. I don't have time for this. You were very bad to me too. We've talked about it like 7 million times now. I don't want to do that anymore. I have to, Harry. Really, I've already missed the 8:30. I'm gonna go now.
I was wrong. You don't have power over her anymore. You shouldn't have said that. I am wrong about everything. You should go on without me.
No, that would only be painful and dull. At the aerodrome, life, love, and laughter are waiting for me. At the cafeteria, dust, hell, and tragic comedy. Light, life, culture. It's so much better than here. Everything here reminds me of you, and the horrible times we had. The nights we stayed up fighting for our dying love. I have to wipe it all off me and be clean again. I want to be a good person again. Not this. Not what you made me into. That was someone else. I betrayed her, overwrote her, and am happier for it. And I'm really going now. The time is up. I must be on the 10:20 flight. I won't see you, but you will see me. Oh, Harry, this is a dream. Can't you see? I'm already in Morova by now. Who knows how long ago this happened? A year? 2? 5 years ago? Right here, tomorrow night. Once this dream starts happening, it keeps happening. 3 times a week, at least. And Harry, it really, really looks like it started happening again. There's the video rental. I'm suffocatingly beautiful and young, and I smell of tutti frutti chewing gum. Like I did that time when I asked you for forgiveness. After leaving you the first time. Oh yes, this is real darkness. It's not death, or war, or child molestation. Real darkness has love for a face. The first death is in the heart, Harry. See you tomorrow.
You're up quick. How was your sleep? I did not want to wake you. Perhaps I should have? Was it a job dream?
The lieutenant nods solemnly. I understand. We've all been through similar things. It can be overcome.
Of course. I was just thinking maybe you've torn your stitches. Are you ready to move on? Okay.
Books and magazines lie scattered on the floor and on a makeshift cupboard. They are not particularly well organized. Most are soft covers, serialized fantastique and detective stories from the 20s and 30s. This disparate digest includes the classic Animal Adventures. Popular depictions of man versus nature by amateur naturalists T&T Harpin, husband and wife. Widely read by people from all walks of life. Who doesn't like nature? Who doesn't want to survive? Among what is mostly commercial fiction and serialized stories, you find a magazine cathodique for electrical engineering. Then it's back to pulp. Light erotica, an international thriller about circuit benders.
Someone's made themselves a home.
Oh yes, under the bed, there is a rather extensive collection of critical theory, that is, dour, life non-affirming left-wing literature, published by small imprints such as Abattoir Firm and Ouzia. It's not exactly like reading.
Ouzia. I agree. Humanitarian sciences. It stands out. Not a lot of critical theory around in Ravachol West.
Your incendiary remark has failed to provoke him. Wasn't there some in the communist student's room?
Well, yes. That one student did.
The little books seem inconsequential next to the big pile of frivolous entertainment covering them.
Whoever has lived here, they have some education and a certain set of interests.
Interesting.
Whoever has lived here.
Interesting. Soft covers. An old cylindrical generator is nested above the ammo lift, with makeshift electrical wiring running out of its side and across the floor. The cables disappear into the wall to your right. The lieutenant puts his hand on the metal barrel, checking for warmth.
It's cold now, but someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired. Downstairs, somewhere? Liquid carbon. I would imagine it takes mazout. The kind that's favored by vagrants and fuel thieves. It's been a long winter, long and cold.
If anyone stayed here, they'd need a generator. A hollow ring. The canister is empty. Dust falls from the generator and down into the ammo lift.
I don't know. I'm not a philosopher.
That is his idea of a joke.
Someone with basic electrical skills has restored it in order to keep the room warm. Maybe it's the fire guy.
The wind outside picks up suddenly, with a faint howl. Inside, it's warm. You see a small metal door nested inside a larger one, a heavy steel blast door. There is a conventional keyhole above the handle. It's very small.
Another part of the island, probably. The lock looks like it could still be usable. Maybe this is one of the doors we don't open?
He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs under the ceiling. It must control the blast door.
I think there's a console just southeast. Let's look around. Getting the blast door open seems like the best plan.
Green paint flecks off the monoblock aluminium cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard.
The console of an antique computation device. The generator upstairs, with wires coming out, they terminate here. Possibly. Urgence, ouvert, allumé, radiodiffusé. It sounds like this device was used to control the electronics here. Maybe it still does.
This device was used to control the electronics in the room. It could open doors, control lights, function as a radio computer.
We need to restore power before using this, officer. The generator, it didn't look like there was fuel in it. We should look around outside. There are barrels all over. Maybe one of them still has something in it.
The boat engine.
There's barely anything left. That won't work. My kinema? I don't want to do that. Let's just look around.
The consul stands by, mutely. Urgence, ouvert. Nothing happens. The dial slides under the glass, silently. You make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words, Feld Insula, are written on the band. An idea lights up in your head.
This is an air-gapped system. Of air, I think they call it. That won't work. No, I'm not. But it would not be very good military technology if programmer ladies could control it remotely. Also, it's ancient, incompatible. Yes?
This old cylindrical the lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown, viscous fluid pours out, and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch. The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle.
That should do it.
This old A dim golden glow animates the console, faint, like a ghost light. Urgence ouvert reads one dial key. Allumer reads another.
It's on. Turn emergency open.
Automatic boot. The blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in. A sudden wave of anxiety makes your skin crawl. No, it's more than that. There's something there, waiting.
After you. I don't know.
A thin wisp of smoke rises from a charred black fire pit. The wind picks up, then dies down again.
Don't be. I have a gun. I know. It was not easy to acquire.
A strange feeling looking at the water. Maybe you should just wander off into the sea with a bottle in your hand. Perhaps there's someone there, under the water, where it has always been. In front of the video rental, on the corner, at the crossing, smelling of tutti frutti and betrayal. Maybe you know it's going to hurt. Yes, cold and still, but love is warm like the inside of her mouth. Yes, 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 yes. No, we're not starting with that. Not now, not this time. In the still mirror of the bay, you see Martinez reflected. Tall edifices of ruins reach into the water, like shimmering towers. And the shacks too. Pine trees and motor lorries, upside down. Islets and posts, like stepping stones, lead into the water in front of you. Go, step in. It's been too long. Always. There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits like two eyes in the wall.
B triple prime. This looks like a good place to shoot from.
There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you, like a little window. Quite old and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than the rain. The springs screech as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck to look out. A small piece of Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you, like a tiny landscape painting. 1 kilometer across the water, the ruins look familiar. A towering skyscraper, its top floors shaved off by artillery fire. Capeside apartments, Rue de Saint-Gislain, 33A and 33B. The red chimney and collapsed back of the 4-story tenement in front of the whirling in rags, Rue de Saint-Gislain, 10, the doomed commercial area. The box-shaped silhouette of the whirling in rags, its sloped roof, a tiny fleck of light catches your eye on the rooftop. Sunlight reflecting off the upstairs window of Clausia's room.
What does that mean? Do you have line of sight to the window?
More than that.
A pair of binoculars? Or a scope of a rifle? You'd be prone, lying on a mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure.
Cheek against a cheek rest, hand on the hair trigger, on a calm day like this.
Good. I think we have it, Detective. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's nest.
Affirmative.
Nothing pointed here. Many leads pointed elsewhere.
He looks north, over the fortification, then at the mattress.
Where? I have always assumed it's someone local.
He feels uncomfortable suddenly.
We should move now.
The springs, a small... There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab.
B triple prime.
A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use. Brand name, Marjorie. And an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts. The silhouette of a tobacco picker adorns the paper filter. The brand, Tio Moteri.
Could be a coincidence. Or the same person has visited Land's End and here. I didn't see any signs of smoking inside though. If people live there, they keep it tidy. This here may also be a smoking spot.
The springs screech as you... A small piece of Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you.
Yes? An old man, wearing tracksuit trousers, leans on the frame stock of his rifle.
He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours. Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp.
It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done. It's a 3 Angong 446.
Southeast Samaran made, exotic, must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
A Samaran rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Sinyao commune. Military aid.
It has stayed true to him. He can still make it sing.
You heard me. It's good now, like chalk, white from the ball. My eyesight? Yes, helps me see all the shit.
A shudder of disgust passes his left side. His right side remains motionless.
I did. And you opened it. How? Reactionary rock and roll music. Playing on the water.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate. Hip gyrating, mental illness music. The what now? I can't hear you. I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around, trying to give up the position.
The position sounds like a hiding place.
Fire guy. Regressive bourgeoisie henchman. Can't even talk like a grown-up. Yes, I bet you've killed a lot of people with it. You fascist fuck. Have you come to make me one of them?
His left eye twitches. With what? Fear? Rage?
We have come to ask you questions, nothing more. If you do not comply, we will take you in. Do you understand?
Another spitball lands in the ashes. That's all the answer he gives. The danger levels here are hard to read. One moment he's afire, the next, a fire gone out. The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You are a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank.
It's a good line, but your voice slips on, Commander, producing a little squeak. Sounds like you're afraid.
A big-time operator of the pederast army. How about I keep it, huh? Hand it over to a real killer.
The lieutenant aims his pistol square at the man's forehead.
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're gonna blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
Like an amputated limb in the sand. He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound. A strange sadness, like a song.
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present.
The present to be afraid, cold.
His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stopped and patched in places with tape and wire. Still warm from his parched hands. Not the metal. The metal is ice cold. This weapon has been modified several times. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangon, 4.46mm, made in Sinyao.
I wonder how old it is.
The old man does not answer.
The right type and the right calibre. No one said it has to be a Belmagrave. We were just guessing.
From ballistics, it could easily have been a Triangon.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does.
The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. His right arm twitches suddenly. Some kind of involuntary response? Something is slightly off with his motorings. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It could be used against him to get a confession. In time.
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
The Commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? Your holdover from the...
From the Insulindian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in '08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the Commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
No. I've been on other islands, too. I was an resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was an E-48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago. I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took for reaction to take hold. It's the same thing. You haven't seen it. Not really. Not naked. It's impossible not to be afraid.
And this was... when?
May the 13th, '08. 44 years ago. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds. The combined might of international capital. All at once, all the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. Huddled on the floor, the artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the Commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going.
A terrible shame still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it. The shame and smallness of what he became.
No. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers there. like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened at the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring. Airships. I climbed out into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. They'd all drowned in the lower levels, or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. The mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love. And then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. That the bourgeois are not human.
Now is not the time, Lieutenant Yofreto.
I had to. I had to fight it. I could not stop anymore. It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone. Iblis. The black-eyed angel.
Shaitan Ahura, the darkened one.
43 years and 10 months. It's not how a human being should live. But I had to.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
Where the afternoon grows late, on Rue de Saint-Ghislain, people walk home. Street lights will soon be lit. Further inland, the streets are alive with workers. 2 police officers step out of the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. Satellite officer Jean-Vic Mayer inspects giant letters across the plaza mosaic. Patrol officer Judith Minot points west. The fishing village. She glances at her watch. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smelling of petroleum.
Always waiting. For her to return.
Her who?
Girl child. Revolution. Always. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do. How does anyone survive? I steal. Supplies, vegetables. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot.
He does seem frail. Gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities?
You also have Druamine.
There's nothing to look over. The triage is in, and it's black. I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of... I don't even know what. Inferno?
I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation.
Traitors. It's better alone. I watch the people of this city turn the lights back on more and more each year. It's disgusting. You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob. that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste dans ce land. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty.
A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said,
Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive.
Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender?
He just wipes the blood from his chin.
Honor is a feudal atavism. My motive is class. It was hard in the Thames. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds.
There were posters.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forberg, even Coron, and others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. I just... So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Belmer Graves, right? I know.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however.
You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across.
I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals. The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys. A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground. I do. They're good. Plenty of talk. I like that boy on the pack, too. Reminds me of the last century.
The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it.
No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs.
His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the commune.
Scientific communism. commissaire politique, is a knight philosopher of the revolution, a future human.
Awakened from shutdown by the promise of ideology. He nods slowly, then another tremor.
You're inert lumpen with a gun.
Detective, we have not come here to discuss ideology. We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation.
The old man spits into the fire pit. He does not say anything more. A jitter passes his lower body. There's definitely something off with his body. Something more than just metabolism, or even cancer.
There's nothing serious in this world. Real music. Real Project Cult. That
You need to address that remark.
it is the anthem of the world revolution. In Grad, they sang brave children, favorites of history. And in Sinyao it was... How did it go? Something about shooting rabbits. I don't know. I can't remember. It does.
He waves erratically with his hand, annoyed that he can't remember. A little tremor passes through him.
I've used it for killing people.
Here we go. A trail of blood. The lieutenant smells it too.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war. Class war is never over.
So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay. This is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while. But this is what you live for. This is the shit. The great serotonin jackpot. The solution. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No. Be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first.
What did I just say?
What did I just tell you? Don't drop the ball now.
I don't want to tell you anything, you grotesque murderer. The who now?
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire.
Oh yes, that one. Ugly piece of work, that boy.
Did you kill him?
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the Commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
A drop of blood in the saliva. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The gun. The murder weapon is the perfect opener. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first.
Stupid dwat.
The lieutenant looks at you with worry in his eyes. Not this, he seems to say. Anything but this.
Intuition is an aberrant psychologism. Your brain is rotting from the radio waves.
He does not answer the provocation. But still, somehow you knew it was a communist. Perhaps you suspected it before you took the case. The vision was you remembering that. Was it supposed to? The inland sea is dark, vast, and on the surface, meaningless.
Standing there, slack-jawed, brain festering.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun, not like your little musketeer pistols. I've seen you prance around with those. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? .46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it. Good. This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder. I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies.
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascies for fascists. Just one thing remains unclear. The rifle does not seem to have a scope.
Forget about your stupid fucking scope. I don't know where it is. Find it yourself. It's your problem now.
He lost it. He just doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on.
You're sad for your fascia brother, aren't you? One twig got broken. Now the others are sad.
Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. They're revolutionary symbols from the war. Nowhere else, nowhere in all of Martinaise have you seen them this spring. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now they're gonna come up. You got it. Remember? The boot prints were like no modern soul. Maybe don't beat yourself anymore, though. You're not immortal.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa.
Show me the souls, please, Mr.
Fucking imbecile.
The maker is Sensorique. The model is Cordobe, and the size is 43. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the soul.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them. Right now?
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters?
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance. You've almost got him. Just the last little push.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them. So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. They blossom on the islets before we fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it.
South, the Bay of Martinez is dotted with little freckles of islets, turning green, with white flowers in white snow.
The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may. Classier.
He knows her, but hadn't heard the name.
With the victim.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer, armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. No.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling, while the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
I had them in my sights, both of them, him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own, and so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
And you were looking at Dan, the victim and a young woman, having sex through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
I'm always looking.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle?
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
Helps him see all the Shit.
And if you don't like it,
Click.
then you pull the trigger?
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift.
Them. Fucking. I didn't like that. Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself. Drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second. Writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
The caliber of bullet he used does not do that kind of damage.
Since she came to Martinez, I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Fell building. It was
Past the Fell building on the coast? What was she doing there?
hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her.
And beautiful.
That, too.
How could you see what she looked like? You said it was dark.
The sun came up. Her hair was like cobwebs. She smoked more fags and snorted a line of whatever shit she was on, right there. She needed it just to move. Her passport and tickets to Villiers. And from there to Cachet Brut.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
Yes, after she'd gone. It was a submersible. Well made, actually.
Sloppy. We should have gotten her to tell us about this. Did you take the documents?
No, I put them back. Why would I take them? I'm not going to phone. Oh, I mean... I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over. I could see who she was, too. A spook. On the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here.
You could tell she was a spook? From the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo. And glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises. You can't make that out in a scope.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
It quickly comes to you.
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Everything in him fills with impossible longing, all at once.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip-point knife.
Good for listening in, too. For hearing the moaning and the snorts.
Like that, too. Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass. I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny. Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. You'd turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
There's nothing to hold on to.
The coals of his eyes glistened suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know. Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something. No. I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of our room on the floor, like she does sometimes. The day after I killed him. Yes, I don't know why I do the things I do anymore. Maybe, I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you.
A sudden pang of rage.
If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more. One more down.
Her.
You hear a low-frequency hiss, barely. The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where is she, that Classier? I haven't seen her there for days. Good for her. That girl kept staring into the scope, you know. In the end, this last week, kept staring at the island. At night, crying or smoking on the roof, like she knew I was here. It doesn't matter.
Midtown, across the Bay of Revachol, snow falls on 40-story towers. Above them, Lausanne Central Aerodrome, a cocoon suspended in the snowy sky by a web of suspension wiring. On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphetamines, barbiturates, and alcohol. Smaller, distant, hidden, not like the great chandelier she sees sparkle in the night below her. He knew she knows.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? Enough. Take him in. Bend his arms behind his back and end this.